Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Heritage. And today we are staying with this Eastern Asia theme, and we are looking at Hoi An, a ancient town trading port in Vietnam that dates back from the 15th century all the way to the 19th century, which is incredible because it's so very well preserved.
Yeah. The uh, architecture of Hoi An is fairly unique, as it is not only a exemplary instance of the indigenous Vietnamese people and their architecture, but it also contains influences from every major power to, let's say, visit Vietnam.
That's a
China.
very nice way of saying invading and colonizing.
Yeah. The Chinese, the Japanese, way too many European countries to
I
list.
was gonna say, hell, even France visits for quite a bit. Even
Yeah.
our good old boys of the United States went over there. Uh,
Yeah, the Americans, the French, the Dutch, the British, the Portuguese may have shown up at one point, but I cannot verify that.
they were in Macau at least, so yeah, they probably stopped by. Very beautiful
Yeah, but like I
architecture,
said,
very ornate design, very colorful. It's truly very Eastern Asia, but it's cool because you also see a lot of timber frame buildings built up here, and they're built in a very specific style that's unique to Vietnam and to this region. Then you go inside and you see the ornate woodwork on the inside, the posts, the carvings. It's honestly really gorgeous. Wow.
uh, yeah, very much. Much of the town has retained its traditional wooden architecture and townscape. What this effectively means is that the town hasn't undergone urban sprawl or industrial boom, and it has not made the switch of building materials from those that were traditionally employed to modern industrial materials like concrete and rebar.
Yeah, they
And
didn't have the
what
steel and
this
concrete revolution like we did.
Yeah. What this effectively means is that the people living there continue to repair these buildings and live in them using the traditional method of construction. And as such, there is not really considered any danger to this city, just because if something breaks, it's reliably understood that the person fixing it is going to fix it in a way consistent with the 19th century, the 18th century, the 17th century, just
Wow.
doing it in the modern day.
And some of this
And it's
artwork
that
and
this is
design on these buildings is stunning.
yeah it's a rare instance of a historical site actually sustaining itself.
But this is a good example
And yeah.
of preservation in place and living preservation. I mean, some of these buildings, like the pictures that they show, don't look in the nicest or best conditions, but partially due to conditions, partially due to area, but also it's partially part of the design. I mean, I don't know. It's unique. It's kind of a very, like you said earlier, it's a hodgepodge of all these different designs, but it created something so unique that clearly it was valued enough to preserve and to keep in place. Like you could definitely see a lot of the Asian design, a lot of or influence like from China and from Japan, the Sino and oh and Japo influences in this region. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
honestly in awe. I love seeing this stuff. I love seeing this, and you're right. There's a lot of wood, a lot of. So what makes it? What gives it so much value? What are the criterion?
um, well, first off, we have criterion 2, which is what you were talking about, which is it's an outstanding manifestation of cultural fusion. It stands as a testament to the intersection of multiple peoples, cultures, beliefs, ideas, etc.
Yeah.
And the other half that gets it on the list is criterion number 5,
Ooh.
uh, which is which is reserved for exceptionally well preserved examples. In this case, the example is that of a traditional Asian trading port. Um, this is a traditional port town. It has not expanded since the time of being a traditional port town. It has not changed its facade since that time. It has simply continued to exist for the past, uh, 400 years, as though nothing has happened.
Yeah, and there's 1,107 timber frame buildings that are included with this, of which include an open market, a fairy quay, religious buildings such as pagodas and family cult houses. Houses are tiled and the wooden components are carved with traditional motifs. There's a fine wooden Japanese bridge with a pagoda on it dating from the 18th century. Like, this is absolutely
Yeah.
fascinating. And like you said, it maintained all of its
Yep.
integrity because even though it's occupied and that it's still actively used as a trading port tourist destination, um, there's still some level of economic stagnation and development really hasn't taken place here and they haven't really started upgrading and modernizing and destroying and losing a lot of this heritage. And the
Yeah.
cool thing
And
is it's
that is actually
recognized
the
and
biggest
such.
threat.
Oh yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Biggest
And
threat
just
is
like that is
well,
actually, yeah, that's actually that's actually, yeah, the biggest threat to this site is the comfort of living of the people who are living there. Um, as you might have guessed, 18th century towns did not have things like plumbing, air conditioning, or Wi-Fi. So, the biggest struggle is how do we provide what are now basic amenities to the people of this town without driving a bulldozer through it.
yeah,
um,
it's gonna
and
have to
that is
create.
in its current, it's currently up in the air how they're going to do that. The long term management plan is still being debated.
Well, that's usually what happens with sites like this is they go
Um,
through years of negotiation and discussion as to what the management plan is. They lay out future projects. They lay out future developments, which is cool because then you get an idea and a scope, and they can start working on mitigating issues, mitigating problems to this. Like it's a really cool intersection of many different fields, and it's cool to see that there's a lot of preservation in place too. There's a number of laws in
yeah, yeah,
2001, amended 2009, 2005. There's a 1997 town statute. I
yeah.
mean,
And yeah, one of the big things too, though, with long-term management of the site is the current management plan only extends until 2025. At which point new legislation and new plans need to be implemented for future conservation of the site, which is why how do we keep it so that it is a 18th century town without forcing our residents to live in the Victorian era is such a major issue for this
yeah.
place. It's one of those things where, like, in 2 years the jig is up. You need something.
For now, I mean, management
Yeah,
plans
that
tend
is.
to last a decade. The last one is set to last for 13 years. So hopefully they can draft one up. And
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of the new management plan, they aim to improve living conditions, but they also aim at trying to protect it to help increase tourism. And they want to try and deal with strategies to negate and mitigate adverse effects with climate.
yeah,
So there's a lot
yeah. They
going
are
on.
discussing. Yeah, they are actually discussing merging this site with an adjacent UNESCO site, the Kulao Cham Biosphere Reserve, and
Oh, so an
effectively create
environmental one.
a basically a town and nature preserve as just one big um conservation effort and one big attraction. Uh, which you could argue is a little bit of like taking the people and reducing them to nature, but at the same time you could also argue that the biosphere probably brings in opportunities for protection that the town doesn't have by itself.
Well, and in a lot of cases, people don't realize is these listings and these nominations, like the Biosphere Reserve, I guarantee they're still conducting traditional practices there. I guarantee they're still trapping and hunting and they're still foraging. They're still logging that area. It doesn't fully mean it's untouchable, but it just means it's preserved in place and someone can't go in with a bulldozer and just destroy the whole thing. So this could actually be a good thing with the town because it also will give them a place to conduct their business and their community. Like I guarantee that also includes parts of the water which are heavily fished, given that it's a port and a trading area.
Yeah, no, it's just one of the things where it's like, there are ups and downs, there are arguments on both sides, and it's the debate as to what are they going to do with it, because it's one of those exciting things where like the preservation plan is coming up for renewal, I guess would be the word.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things like how are they going to modernize it? How are they going to fix the current problems that they're having? That's very exciting and also very contentious.
And we're just going to have to wait and see on the next episode of Historical Humans Heritage. Going to leave on a cliffhanger there. If we do come across the new management plan, we might do an update to this. Or if development starts destroying it, we can do an update. But I think that's a good point for us to wrap up here for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.